Just a couple of days ago, I published a story stating that Canon Australia had halted sales of the Canon R5C. Many of you had stated in the comment section that, Simon, the Canon R5C isn't available for sale. And, well, technically, you were correct. In many parts of the world, the Canon R5C isn't for sale, but it has been for sale in some regions, Australia and Japan. And many of you also commented that you've been having problems with the R5C. Well, we now have confirmation. Canon Australia has recalled the Canon R5C due to a manufacturing issue. Due to a manufacturing defect in autofocus, the camera may repeatedly go in and out of focus in movie mode. Well, this is definitely good news for some who like that depth from defocus autofocus system made popular by Lumix. So if you have ordered the Canon R5C, if you've actually got it in your hands and you like that depth from defocus autofocus system, well, then you can ignore this recall. But for the rest of us, and all joking aside, this is obviously a frustration because in movie mode, that's where this camera lives. That's where you can shoot endless 4K video, 8K video without the camera overheating in any way whatsoever. But to have an autofocus system that is pulsing in and out, that's not accurate, well, that's going to be a problem for many. So Canon Australia has halted sales, and this is what they had to say about that. We are aware that a very small number of units have been delivered to customers prior to the issue being identified. For those who received their unit on or before March the 21st, 2022, please contact the retailer you purchased the product from to organize the return and replacement of your camera. We appreciate your understanding. Understanding aside, it's obviously frustrating. Now, for those of us in North America, we weren't expecting the camera until April, and the same for Europe. So this is most likely going to slow things down, correct? Well, Canon heard you and had this to say. For those customers eagerly awaiting their R5C, we expect that this may delay the shipment of your product. Many rumors had indicated that we weren't going to get this camera for maybe another 6 months, that there was going to be a delay of 6 months, and that certainly may be possible. With everything that's been going on in the world over the last couple of years, with everything, how it's affecting the supply lines, and of course now what we have happening in Europe, and that affects access to certain materials, I think delays definitely are going to happen, whether it's going to be 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, or even more. We'll just have to wait and see. But the good news, Canon EOS R5C has definitely been affected. But what I'm really wondering about is how is this going to impact any other cameras? Canon rumors a couple of months ago had said we were supposed to be getting an announcement of the R7 this month, in March. It's already the 23rd. Spring has come, and there's no whiff. There's no hint. There's no rumor of any specifications on the R7, no hint or rumor of any event. And normally what would happen, normally this doesn't always happen. Sometimes camera companies will drop an announcement without any fanfare, without any notification. And Sony's done this with the Alpha 1. They went ahead and scheduled their presentation of the Alpha 1 within about 12 hours of the announcement. So Canon could do the same thing here, but normally with cameras like the R7, we will get at least a week's notice of some sort of virtual presentation, some keynote of the product. We haven't got that. We don't even have any rumors of specifications. That's another thing we normally get with Canon. Leading up to a product announcement, we start to get some leaks of some key capabilities, and nothing. Now, Craig, as a credit to Craig and Canon Rumors, did say that while the plans were back then to announce it in March, that with everything going on in the world, don't be surprised if it gets pushed. And I think that's what we're likely going to see here. This is just my guess. This is not on Canon Rumors or anybody else, but I think we might not get the announcement until later into April. We do have NAB coming up. At least it's scheduled to be coming up. Who knows if that's going to be derailed or not. But what we're seeing with everything going on in the world, at least in the West, in Europe and North America, a lot of the restrictions are being removed. So we may very well have NAB going forward. And we may get the R7 announcement, but would it happen on the heels of NAB? No, I would expect it to happen before or after NAB by a week or two, because NAB in itself is a big event, and that's where I expect Canon to make announcements of 8K and 4K cinema cameras. The really expensive ones, the ones that cost north of $10,000, and not the small pocket ones like the Canon EOS R5C. So hopefully the R7 announcement is coming soon. I'm looking forward to that, as you are too. And of course, the R1. How is this manufacturing defect? How is this impacting Canon? Because they do have to address it. They do have to fix it. That's going to affect their production lines, But how is that going to impact the rest of their schedule? Because everything's tightly knit together. How's it going to affect the R1? How is it going to affect the R7, the EOS RP replacement, many other cameras? I suggest stay tuned, subscribe, and choose all notifications so as soon as I put out a video on this, you're going to be in the know. The last thing I want to talk about to you is a video I put out yesterday on the Mac Studio. Some of you had said, Simon, I thought this was a photo channel, a video channel. Why are you covering computers? I haven't expanded my coverage. I'm not going to get into computers, and I don't cover every Mac that comes out. But when it comes to video editing, the type of software that we use and the type of hardware that we use makes a big difference to our workflow. And the Mac Studio and the M1 architecture in general has made a significant change to how we edit video. This is my MacBook Air, and I've been using it to edit video on this channel for a long time. And in the video that I published yesterday, I talk about how a 6 minute and 41 second video only took 4 minutes and some 17 seconds to export with this thing here. Now, it did take me about 6 or 7 minutes to finish rendering because this isn't really that fast enough to get all the rendering done while I'm editing. But still, for the ordinary filmmaker or photographer, if somebody is not using this for a business, I highly recommended the MacBook Air. But for those of you that are doing heavy lifting, that don't want to have to wait for it to render, and all the videos that I published on the R5, I would say 95, sorry, not published on the R5, on the Mac Studio, I would say that 90% of them had finished rendering right when I was finished with the product, including that big one that I put out yesterday of 25 minutes long. Now, sometimes I get up, I go get a drink, get a coffee, get a tea, and while I'm doing that, it's like, it's amazing how much it's able to render. It's like it can render a whole third. It's just super fast. It makes use of that downtime when I'm not pressing buttons or clicking. Very, very fast. And of course, the export time, that video yesterday, that 25-minute video, exported in 10 minutes and 24 seconds. So I talk about how the Mac Studio has really changed things, how it frees up an awful lot of time, and even something like 8K video, which this can edit 8K ProRes video no problem. But the real secret is if once you go to export it, for every 1 minute of video, it takes about an hour or more, depending on how complex it is in terms of effects, at least an hour per minute. Staggering. The Mac Studio, for every 1 minute, not 1 hour, for every 1 minute of video, it takes 1 minute and 14 seconds versus an hour on this. So while this is great for the ordinary filmmaker or photographer, it's great for full HD, 720, 580, and even 4K 30. When it comes to video higher than that, the Mac Studio, it can eat 8K like you and I could eat a banana for breakfast. It just goes down so smooth. It is very, very fast. It's very snappy. Audio tracks, long video tracks. As soon as you zoom in, boom, it's refreshed. You can see your audio, unlike this thing where I do have to wait sometimes 10 seconds after zooming in to see the audio display on the screen. MotionVFX is so much faster. When I'm going through the settings for the MotionVFX plugin, quite often on here, it's very jumpy, it's very slow, but I don't really worry about that too much. But on the Mac Studio, it's snappy, it's fast. Everything about it is fast. So if you do a lot of video editing, or if you do very little video editing and the type of computer hardware that you do is interesting, and I give a call out to Casey at Camera Conspiracies, because he put out a video yesterday complaining that the R5 it puts out video, especially in 8K, or I think he was talking about Canon R5C, saying his computer just can't handle it, and it's the R5. I'd say it's more to do with his computer. If he just spent, $1,000 US or $899 US, he can pick up this and he can easily edit Canon R5C without any problems whatsoever. It's just a beast of a machine and what it can do. And you don't need to spend $3,000 or $4,000 like we used to get a machine to edit video. Just incredible. What was it, 4 years ago, I bought the iMac Pro to be able to edit 4K video, and that's an expensive machine. Here we are 4 years later. You don't need to spend $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 to get a computer that can edit 4K video. Watch that video. I go into details. I do 5 different tests. I do short videos, long videos. I do one video which is 1 hour and 42 minutes long with over 800 clips, 10-bit 422, 4K, 8K video as well. And it was able to export that video in 33 minutes and 43 seconds. Just staggering the performance. So, but that's all I wanted to talk to you about today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.